The vast Draconian armada stretched across the cold darkness of space like a metallic storm cloud that could swallow worlds. 1,000 warships, each the size of a small city, moved in perfect formation toward the tiny blue marble called Earth. Their dark hulls gleamed with energy shields that could deflect nuclear blasts, and their weapon arrays could crack planets in half. Admiral Vextar stood tall on the bridge of his massive flagship, the Worldbreaker. His reptilian features twisted into a cruel smile as he watched Earth grow larger on the main view screen. Purple scales covered his 7-foot frame, and his yellow eyes burned with the confidence of someone who had never lost a battle. "Look, at this pathetic little world," he hissed to his officers, his forked tongue flicking out to taste their fear. "These humans barely crawl between stars like insects. Their fastest ships take months to reach their own moon." Commander Zarketh, his second-in-command, pulled up tactical displays showing Earth's defenses. "Admiral, our scouts report they have only primitive nuclear weapons and crude metal projectiles. Their most advanced spacecraft moves slower than our escape pods." Vextar laughed, a sound like grinding metal. "I've conquered 47 worlds. Commander, gas giants with floating cities, ice planets with underground empires, desert worlds where the sand itself fights back. This will be the easiest victory in Draconian history." The fleet's communication arrays crackled to life, broadcasting the standard surrender demand across every frequency Earth's primitive technology could receive. The message was simple and brutal: submit completely or watch your world burn. On Earth, 12,000 miles below the approaching doom, President Lee Gina sat in her Seoul office, reading the alien message that had just arrived. The text appeared on her secure terminal in perfect Korean, which somehow made it even more terrifying. Her hands trembled slightly as she read the demands. Defense Minister Park Do-yoon burst through her office doors, his usually calm face pale with worry. "Madam President, you've seen the message. 72 hours to surrender unconditionally," Gina said quietly, setting down the tablet. "They want complete control of our governments, our military, our resources. What are our options, Do-hyun?" Ike collapsed into a chair, running his hands through his grey hair. "Honestly, we have none. Our entire space fleet consists of 3 research vessels studying Jupiter's moons and 1 mining platform harvesting asteroids. Against 1,000 warships, we might as well throw rocks at them." General Kang Min-ho joined them via video call from the Pentagon, his American counterpart nodding grimly beside him. "Every major power on Earth is saying the same thing. Our most advanced fighters can't even reach their lowest ships. They're positioned just outside our atmosphere, completely untouchable." Gina stood and walked to her window, looking out at Seoul's bustling streets. Millions of people went about their daily lives below, completely unaware that alien conquerors waited above their heads. Children played in parks. Office workers grabbed coffee. Street vendors sold tteokbokki to hungry customers. "Have we tried negotiating?" she asked. "They're not interested in negotiation," Park replied. "The message was clear: submit or die, no middle ground." Meanwhile, high above Earth's atmosphere, the Draconian fleet continued its ominous approach. Each ship bristled with weapons that could level mountains. Plasma cannons charged with enough energy to melt steel. Kinetic bombardment systems loaded with projectiles that could punch through Earth's crust. Shield disruptors designed to collapse any protective barriers the humans might somehow possess. Admiral Vextar reviewed the final attack plans with savage satisfaction. Phase 1, we destroy their communication satellites and space stations. Phase 2, we target their major cities as a demonstration. Phase 3, we land occupation forces in their capitals. As the 72-hour deadline approached, tension gripped every human on Earth. News broadcasts showed the alien fleet growing larger in telescopes. Social media exploded with fear, anger, and desperate prayers. World leaders held emergency sessions, but no one had any real solutions. Then, with 6 hours left until the deadline, something impossible happened. Lieutenant Kim Sora was monitoring the alien fleet from Deep Space Station Alpha, humanity's most advanced orbital facility. She had been tracking the massive ships for 3 days straight, watching helplessly as they drew closer to Earth. The station's primitive sensors could barely penetrate their energy shields, but she could still count them. 1,000 ships. 1,000 harbingers of humanity's doom. She rubbed her tired eyes and looked at her screens again. 999 ships. She blinked hard and recounted. 998. That's impossible, she whispered, frantically checking. Her equipment. Commander Lee, something's wrong with the sensors. Commander Lee Kumin rushed to her station, coffee spilling from his mug. What's happening, Lieutenant? Sir, the fleet ships are disappearing. Not moving away, not cloaking, just gone. No energy signatures, no explosion debris, nothing. It's like they never existed. Kumin stared at the displays in disbelief as more ships vanished. 800 ships, 700, 500. The massive Draconian fleet was simply ceasing to exist, one vessel at a time. On Earth, deep space. Monitoring stations around the globe reported the same impossible phenomenon. The threat that had paralyzed humanity for 3 days was dissolving like morning mist. Within minutes, empty space remained where the Armada had been. Not a single trace of the 1,000 ships existed anywhere. 3 weeks after the impossible, vanishing, the skies above Earth filled with new arrivals. But these ships came in peace, flying under the banner of the Galactic Council. The investigation fleet emerged from hyperspace like a parade of alien engineering marvels. Sleek Viridian. Vessels gleamed silver and blue, their crystalline hulls reflecting starlight in rainbow patterns. Massive Kraxon battlecruisers bristled with sensor arrays instead of weapons, their dark metal surfaces covered in scanning equipment. Leading this diverse armada was Admiral Kethmos of the Viridian Republic. Standing 8 feet tall with translucent, blue skin that pulsed with bioluminescent patterns, he represented the galaxy's most analytical minds. Beside him stood General Brutex of the Kraxon Empire, a towering warrior whose rocky, stone-like skin could deflect plasma bolts. Where Kethmos sought answers through careful study, Brutex preferred direct confrontation. The humans had worked frantically to prepare for their arrival. In just 3 weeks, they had constructed Unity Station, an orbital platform that would serve as the meeting point between Earth and the galactic community. The station spun slowly above the Pacific Ocean, its modular design showcasing humanity's practical engineering approach. Ambassador Han Junho stood in the station's main docking bay, adjusting his diplomatic uniform nervously. As Earth's first official representative to alien species, he carried the hopes and fears of 8 billion people. Behind him waited a team of Earth's brightest minds, including physicists, military advisors, and linguists who had spent sleepless nights preparing for this moment. The Viridian shuttle docked with barely a whisper, its advanced technology making their arrival seem effortless. Admiral Kethmos emerged first, his forearms moving in what humans had learned was a greeting gesture. His large, multifaceted eyes studied everything with intense curiosity. Admiral Kethmos, General Brutex, welcome to Unity Station, Han Junho said, bowing slightly. We are deeply honored by your visit, though we wish it came under better circumstances. Kethmos spoke through a translation device that converted his musical tones into clear Korean. Ambassador Han, we appreciate your cooperation. The disappearance of the Draconian fleet has sent shockwaves throughout the galaxy. We must understand what happened here. General Brutex stomped forward, his massive frame making the station's floor vibrate. His voice rumbled like an earthquake. 1,000 ships don't just vanish, human. Your species must possess weapons beyond our understanding. That's exactly why we need your help, Han replied earnestly. We're as confused as you are. Our scientists have been studying the event non-stop, but we have no answers. The delegation moved to the station's main conference room, where Earth's top researchers waited. Dr. Choi Minji, the planet's leading theoretical physicist, activated holographic displays showing their findings. The floating images revealed Earth's primitive sensor networks and the readings they had captured during the vanishing. Our technology is crude compared to yours, Dr. Choi admitted, her voice steady despite her nervousness. But these sensors detected absolutely nothing unusual. No energy discharges, no weapon signatures, no gravitational anomalies. According to our instruments, the Draconian fleet simply stopped existing at 1432 Universal Time. Admiral Kethmos studied the data with fascination, his bioluminescent patterns flickering rapidly as he processed the information. Remarkable. Your readings show quantum signatures consistent with nothing. It's as if reality itself was edited. Dr. Kim Tae-hyun, Earth's expert on space-time physics, stepped forward. We've considered every possibility: cloaking devices, dimensional portals, matter disintegration, even time manipulation. But there's no evidence of any known technology being used. The investigation expanded beyond the conference room. Alien scientists deployed advanced scanning equipment throughout the solar system, searching for any trace of the missing fleet. Viridian quantum archaeologists examined the very fabric of space-time where the ships had been. Kraxon military analysts studied Earth's defensive capabilities with growing bewilderment. Captain Park Yeon-soo of Earth's Space Defense Corps escorted General Brutex through their military installations. The alien warrior examined humanity's most advanced weapons with obvious disappointment. "These are your strongest defenses?" Brutex asked, studying a nuclear missile like it was a child's toy. "These projectile weapons couldn't scratch Draconian armor plating." "I'm afraid so, General," Park replied honestly. "We've only just begun exploring our own solar system. Interstellar warfare is completely beyond our capabilities." The investigation teams combed through Earth's communication networks, analyzing billions of messages sent during the critical time period. They found exactly what they expected from a primitive civilization: confusion, fear, and genuine bewilderment. Social media posts from Seoul showed people taking pictures of bright lights in the sky, thinking they were seeing unusually large meteor showers. News broadcasts from Tokyo featured confused astronomers trying to explain why their telescopes suddenly showed empty space where alien ships had been. New York's emergency services received hundreds of calls about falling satellites that never actually fell. Dr. Salthin, an ethereal being made of pure energy, phased through Earth's internet systems like a digital ghost. The advanced AI entity analyzed every electronic communication, every data stream, every digital footprint from the time of the vanishing. "The humans are genuine in their confusion," Salthin reported to the Council. "Their primitive networks show no signs of deception. They truly believe they witnessed a natural phenomenon." General Brutex grew increasingly frustrated with each passing day. His warrior culture couldn't accept that a species could possess ultimate weapons while appearing completely helpless. "This is impossible," he roared during one heated session. "No civilization develops reality-altering weapons while still using chemical rockets. They must be hiding their true capabilities." But Admiral Kethmos remained patient, his scientific mind analyzing every piece of evidence. "General, consider the possibility that they're telling the truth. Perhaps humanity has developed something beyond conventional warfare." The breakthrough came when investigators examined ordinary human activities during the vanishing. In Seoul's Gangnam district, office worker Lee Min-seo had been eating lunch when the ships disappeared. In London, teacher Park Ji-hee was explaining mathematics to her students. In Los Angeles, engineer Kim Dong-hyun was designing better solar panels. None of them had even looked up at the sky. The investigators realized they were dealing with something unprecedented in galactic history, a species that could erase threats from existence without even knowing they were doing it. The news of the Draconian fleet's disappearance spread across the galaxy like wildfire through a dry forest. Within days, the secure communication networks of dozens of civilizations buzzed with concerned chatter. What had started as an investigation into one missing fleet was about to become something much larger and more terrifying. Captain Yorlex, of the hegemony of Voss, was the first to break his silence. The insectoid commander's compound eyes glittered nervously as he addressed the emergency Galactic Council session via hologram. His mantis-like form clicked and chittered as he spoke. "6 months ago we lost Scout Squadron Theta near the Sol system," he admitted, his translator converting his rapid clicks into galactic standard. 3 fast interceptors with full stealth capabilities. They were conducting routine surveillance of the human homeworld when they simply vanished. The revelation sent shockwaves through the assembled delegates. Admiral Kethmos leaned forward in his crystalline chair. "Captain, Why wasn't this reported to the Council? Yorlex's antennae twitched with embarrassment. We assumed it was equipment. Failure? Our ships are old and the Sol system is far from our usual patrol routes. We wrote it off as navigational error or reactor malfunction. But Yorlex wasn't finished. The insectoid captain pulled up holographic star charts showing the outer edges of Earth's solar system. The strange thing is, our emergency beacons never activated. When a hegemony ship is destroyed, it automatically sends distress signals. These ships didn't just disappear. It's like they never existed in the first place. General Thane of the Stellar Syndicate, a massive humanoid covered in metallic scales, stood up with obvious reluctance. His cybernetic implants glowed red as he accessed classified military files. The Syndicate has lost vessels near Earth as well, he growled, his mechanical voice echoing through the chamber. 2 patrol destroyers and a reconnaissance cruiser over the past year. Each time we blamed pirates or equipment malfunction. Commander Li Wu-jin of Earth's Space Defense Corps listened to these reports with growing horror. The Korean officer sat in Unity Station's communication center, his face pale as more and more alien military leaders came forward with similar stories. You're saying multiple alien fleets have simply disappeared near our system? He asked, his voice barely above. A whisper, and we never detected any of them. Viridian analyst Quelith, a graceful being with flowing tentacles instead of hair, nodded solemnly. Every military force approaching with hostile intent has vanished without a trace. Your primitive sensors wouldn't have detected them. They were using advanced stealth technology and approaching from the outer system. The pattern was becoming terrifyingly clear. Over the past 2 years, 17 different military expeditions had approached Earth's solar system. Some came as scouts, others as pirates seeking easy prey, and a few as full invasion forces like the Draconians. None had returned. What makes this even more disturbing, Quelith continued, is that your people report nothing unusual during these incidents. No explosions in space, no debris falling to Earth, nothing beyond occasional meteor showers. Meanwhile, life on Earth continued exactly as it always had. In the coastal city of Busan, elementary school teacher Park Ji-won graded her students' math tests while worrying about the upcoming parent conferences. Her biggest concern was whether little Kim Sujin would pass her multiplication tables, not that her planet had apparently become a cosmic trap for hostile aliens. 300 kilometers north in Incheon, engineer Kim Min-soo worked late into the night designing more efficient solar panels for the city's new green energy project. He paused occasionally to look out his office window at the stars, wondering if humans would ever travel to them. He had no idea that dozens of alien ships had already traveled to him and mysteriously vanished. The breakthrough came from an unexpected source. Dr. Salthin of the Ethereal Collective was unlike any other investigator working the case. As a being of pure energy housed in a crystalline matrix, the ancient entity could perceive reality in ways that biological creatures could never understand. Salthin had been quietly scanning Earth's solar system for weeks using detection methods that went beyond conventional physics. While other investigators looked for physical evidence of the missing ships, Salthin examined the quantum foundation of space-time itself. The readings are extraordinary, Salthin reported to the assembled scientists, its voice like musical wind chimes. The entire Sol system exists in a state of quantum flux. Reality itself is being continuously rewritten on a massive scale. Admiral Kethmos studied the data with fascination and growing concern. Doctor, are you suggesting that space-time around Earth is being artificially manipulated? Not artificially, Salthin corrected, its crystalline form pulsing with excited energy. This appears to be a natural phenomenon, but one that defies every law of physics we understand. The quantum signature suggests that probability itself is being altered. The implications were staggering. Commander Park Sung-jae of Earth's orbital defense grid reviewed the timeline with mounting dread. Every time a hostile force had approached Earth, ordinary humans had gone about their daily lives completely unaware of the threat. Look at this pattern, he said, highlighting dates on his display. Each disappearance coincides with periods of normal human activity. When the hegemony scouts vanished, It was during Seoul's morning rush hour. When the Syndicate destroyers disappeared, millions of people were watching the World Cup finals. Dr. Choi Minji made the connection that would change everything. What if the disappearances aren't caused by weapons or technology? What if they're caused by us? The room fell silent as the terrifying possibility sank in. 8 billion humans, living their peaceful lives, completely unaware that their very existence was somehow erasing threats from reality itself. Impossible, General Brutex rumbled. Primitives can't manipulate quantum mechanics through thought alone, but Dr. Salthin's energy form flickered with what might have been excitement. General, what if they're not primitive at all? What if humanity has evolved something beyond our understanding? A collective unconscious ability to reject realities they find unacceptable. The investigation had uncovered something that would reshape the galaxy's understanding of power itself. The greatest scientific minds from across the galaxy gathered in Unity Station's largest laboratory. For 3 intense weeks, they had worked around the clock using technology that could peer into the very fabric of reality itself. What they discovered would forever change how the universe viewed humanity. Dr. Salthin floated at the center of the room, its crystalline form pulsing with colors that had no names in any biological language. Around the ethereal being, holographic displays showed quantum equations that made even advanced alien scientists dizzy. The mathematics were so complex they seemed to bend space around them. "Colleagues," Salthin announced, its voice like crystal, bells in a gentle breeze, "what we have discovered defies everything we thought we knew about the nature of reality." Admiral Kethmos leaned forward, his bioluminescent skin flickering with anticipation. "Doctor, please share your findings." The ethereal scientist activated a 3-dimensional display of the Sol system. But this wasn't any ordinary star chart. It showed the quantum structure of space-time itself. Streams of probability flowed around Earth like rivers of light, constantly shifting and changing in patterns that hurt to look at directly. "The entire Sol system exists in artificial quantum flux," Dr. Salthin reported, its form brightening with excitement. "Reality is being continuously rewritten on a scale we've never seen before. Every moment, every second, causality itself is being edited by an intelligence of unimaginable power." Ambassador Han Junho sat in the front row of observers, his face growing pale as the implications became clear. The Korean diplomat had spent his entire career dealing with complex international relations, but nothing had prepared him for this. "Doctor, are you saying we're editing reality?" Han asked, his voice barely above a whisper. "That's impossible. We're just farmers and engineers and teachers. We don't even have faster-than-light travel yet." But the evidence floating before them was undeniable. Dr. Choi Minji, Earth's leading quantum physicist, studied the alien data with growing amazement and terror. Her hands shook as she realized what she was seeing. "The quantum signatures are unlike anything in our textbooks," she whispered to her colleague, Dr. Kim Taehyun. "It's like the universe is being rewritten by an author who doesn't like the current story." General Brutex stomped closer to the displays, his stone-like features twisted in confusion and anger. "This is madness. No species manipulates reality. Through thought alone. There must be hidden technology, secret weapons we haven't found." Dr. Salthin's form dimmed slightly, conveying what might have been sadness. "General, I understand your disbelief, but observe this data carefully." The ethereal scientist projected recordings from the moment the Draconian fleet vanished. But these weren't ordinary sensor readings. They showed the quantum level of reality itself. As the assembled scientists watched in stunned silence, they saw causality chains simply ending. Probability streams that should have led to Earth's conquest suddenly terminated, as if someone had erased them with cosmic correction fluid. 8 billion human minds, Dr. Salthin continued, are collectively and unconsciously rejecting any reality where Earth could be conquered. Their shared belief in their own safety is literally rewriting the laws of cause and effect. The room erupted in shocked murmurs. Viridian scientists chittered in their musical language. Kraxan warriors growled in disbelief. Even the usually calm ethereal collective members flickered with agitation. Back on Earth, President Lee Gina sat in her Sol office as the impossible truth was explained to her via secure video link. Dr. Joy Minji and Dr. Kim Tae-hyun flanked the screen, their faces reflecting the same shock she felt. "Madam President," Dr. Choi said carefully, "according to the galactic scientists, our people's unconscious collective will is making hostile fleets never have existed in the first place." Lee Gina stared at the screen for a long moment, processing information that challenged everything she understood about reality. "You're telling me that 8 billion people, just by living their normal lives, are somehow protecting Earth from invasion?" "It's more than protection," Dr. Kim Tae-hyun explained, pulling up simplified diagrams. "We're apparently editing the timeline itself. When a threat approaches Earth, our collective unconscious mind rejects that reality and creates a new one where the threat never existed." The president looked out her window at Seoul's bustling streets. Down below, people walked to work, children played in parks, and vendors sold street food. None of them had any idea they were cosmic gods, accidentally wielding power that could unmake entire fleets. Dr. Salthin's voice echoed through the communication link from Unity Station. "The Draconians didn't just disappear, President Lee. They were retroactively prevented from ever reaching your system. Your species has mastered reality manipulation without even knowing it." The ethereal scientist brought up more data, showing how the effect worked. "When hostile forces approach Earth, something remarkable happens. Billions of human minds, all focused on their daily lives, unconsciously assume they are safe. This assumption is so powerful, so absolute, that reality rewrites itself to make it true." Commander Park Sung-jae of Earth Space Defense Corps shook his head in bewilderment. "But how is that possible? We're not psychic. We don't have mental powers." "You do," Admiral Kethmos interjected, his forearms gesturing at the quantum displays. "Every sentient species has some level of quantum consciousness. But humans seem to have evolved something unique, a collective unconscious that can influence probability on a massive scale." The revelation explained everything. Why Earth had never been successfully invaded, despite being apparently defenseless. Why every hostile alien force simply vanished without a trace. Why humans continued their peaceful lives, completely unaware they were the most dangerous species in the galaxy. "Think about it," Dr. Salthin continued. "Humans have survived ice ages, plagues, wars, and natural disasters throughout their history. Each time, they've maintained an absolute belief that their species will continue. This faith is so deep, so fundamental, that it has become a force of nature." The assembled scientists realized they were looking at the ultimate defense system. Not weapons or shields, but something far more powerful. The unconscious will of an entire species that simply refused to accept defeat. "So what happens now?" Ambassador Han asked quietly. "How do we control something we don't even know we're doing?" The question hung in the air like a death sentence, because the answer was both simple and terrifying. They couldn't. The revelations spread across the galaxy like a cosmic shockwave. On the crystal cities of Viridius Prime, where buildings grew like living trees, scientists worked frantically to understand the implications. In the warforges of Kraxon Major, where molten metal flowed through mountainous factories, generals stared at tactical displays that meant nothing anymore. Even in the energy nexus of the ethereal collective, beings of pure thought struggled to process what they had learned. Emergency sessions erupted on thousands of worlds. The Galactic Senate, a massive space station orbiting a neutron star, filled with delegates from every corner of civilized space. Species that had been enemies for millennia found themselves united by a single terrifying question. How do you deal with gods who don't know they're gods? General Song Hyok stood before the assembled delegates, his Korean military uniform looking simple and humble compared to the exotic clothing and armor around him. As Earth's newly appointed representative to galactic military affairs, he carried the impossible burden of explaining his species' accidental power. "Honored delegates," he began, his translator converting his words into hundreds of alien languages, "I want to be completely honest with you. We have no idea how this works. If what your scientists say is true, then my people are unconsciously editing reality itself. But I swear to you, we're not doing it on purpose." The massive chamber erupted in clicking, chittering, roaring, and singing as various species expressed their disbelief. A towering crystalline being from the far reaches chimed like breaking glass. How can an entire species possess reality-altering abilities without knowing it? Song Hyuk spread his hands helplessly. I wish I could answer that. Yesterday I thought our biggest threat was running out of fossil fuels. Today I'm learning that we're apparently the most dangerous species in the galaxy. If this is true, how do we control it? How do we ensure it doesn't happen again to friendly visitors? The question hung in the air like a death sentence. In the viewing galleries, military observers from dozens of civilizations shifted nervously. How do you plan a battle against an enemy that can simply make your forces never have existed? How do you negotiate with a species that could unmake you from reality without even realizing they were doing it? Admiral Kethmos rose from his biomechanical chair, his bioluminescent patterns dim with worry. His forearms gestured gracefully as he spoke, representing the thoughts of many in the chamber. Fellow beings, we face an unprecedented situation. Throughout galactic history, we have dealt with superior technology, overwhelming numbers, even species with psychic abilities. But this is different. We cannot risk military action against beings who rewrite reality as easily as breathing. Captain. Zethra of the insectoid hives buzzed in agreement, her compound eyes reflecting the chamber's lights like jewels. My species has faced extinction 3 times in our history. Each time, we survived through cunning and adaptation. But how do you adapt to something that makes you never have existed? The debate raged for hours. Some species suggested studying humanity from afar, hoping to understand their power. Others proposed immediate quarantine, sealing off the Sol system to prevent accidental erasure of any more fleets. A few radical voices even suggested trying to replicate humanity's ability, though most dismissed this as impossibly dangerous. Meanwhile, on Earth, life continued exactly as it always had. In Seoul's bustling Myeongdong district, street vendors sold hotteok and tteokbokki to hungry shoppers who complained about the weather and rising prices. None of them realized that their casual conversations about daily life were being monitored by alien scientists trying to understand how normal human thoughts could reshape the universe. In the coastal city of Mokpo, fisherman Kim Chan-ho grumbled about fuel costs as he prepared his boat for another day at sea. He looked up at the stars and wondered if there was life out there somewhere. He had no idea that representatives of hundreds of alien civilizations were at that very moment debating whether his species was too dangerous to contact. University student Oh Sarah sat in her cramped Seoul apartment, surrounded by textbooks and empty coffee cups as she studied for her entrance exams. Her biggest worry was whether she'd get into medical school. She occasionally glanced out her window at the night sky, dreaming of becoming a doctor who might one day work on a space station. She couldn't know that her mere existence, her simple faith that she would have a future, was part of a collective force that terrified the galaxies. Claude can make mistakes. Please, double-check responses.